Hello everyone, good afternoon to all of you. So we are done with first session of all anthropologists at one place for Mains 2025, and in today's session we are going to have the second class where we are going to cover up all other anthropologists at one place. You know the model that we are going to take up one anthropologist and will try to know something about their personal life, then the kind of publication they had given, and after that a complete series that we have. That first we are going to take up their views regarding the culture, then the society, then marriage and family, then kinship, then religion, then language communication, and at last the research method. Here in some of the anthropologists they had also provided their contribution for the political organization and economic organization. I will tell you separately about their views. Fine. In the previous session, we basically try to consolidate everything at one place, and I am assuring you that this session again is going to help you to sum up everything at one place. Now, as you know already, I am going to write down something on the board and I will be providing this PDF at the Sunya IAS official Telegram channel, and from there you can download the PDF file as well. Fine. Here also, Hanji, good afternoon Jatin, good afternoon. If you are preparing for the Mains 2025 and if you have any another doubt, if you want to meet offline personally and if you want to connect online as well, there is Google form attached here in the description box. You can just fill up, and there in the description you can ask for that you want to connect with the faculty. They will connect you with me and we can just fix up the time schedule if you need any sort of help for anything. Even if you want any sort of help, if you feel somehow confused for your anthropology preparation, like you had taken the coaching from somewhere but you are not able to revise, so you can just connect with me. Fine. So now let's start without wasting the time. As you know already that in the previous lecture we are covered with the E.B. Taylor. So what is the basic measurement we are having? We have unit 6 anthropological theories. In the anthropological theories we are supposed to cover some anthropologists, and you know very well that we started from the classical evolutionism, that is the E.B. Taylor, then L.H. Morgan, then James Fraser. Then we come up with the next part in terms of the structuralism, historical particularism, then structuralism, then functionalism, and based upon that we have covered so many other anthropologists. The last anthropologist in the previous class we covered up is about the B. Malinowski. Now we have to cover up all these anthropologists. So in today's session we are going to take up Edmund Leach, Ruth Benedict, Margaret Mead, Abraham Gardiner, Ralph Linton, Cora Du Bois. So all these anthropologists we are going to take up in today's session, and next session we are going to have on Monday. So now till Mains 2025, approx by mid of August we are going to have a complete revision series, and that's going to be completely free, and these are going to be open session, and these session they would help you just to revise everything at one place. Fine. Okay, now let's start. So first, starting with the Edmund Leach. As you know already that Edmund Leach, he was basically the kind of person who is attached with structuralism. I mean, not exactly the structuralism, but somehow he is the person who is influenced by the work of the Levi-Strauss. You know already. Fine. Now another thing. The Edmund Leach, earlier he was doing engineering. You must have heard that in India also there was a kind of storm of engineers. So in the same way, in the Western countries also there was a storm of engineering, and he was also doing engineering. But then he switched, and in the London School of Economics, he switched to the anthropology stream under the B. Malinowski. So under the B. Malinowski, he switched to the anthropology. And then he got inspired and very much influenced from the work of the Levi-Strauss. Before that, we are done with the Levi-Strauss also, that considered as the father of structuralism. We have so many theories. The theory of myth related to the structuralism, everything is given by whom? The Levi-Strauss. So Edmund Leach, when he got inspired through the work of the structuralism, he was also trying to provide the structure that can help us to understand the political as well as the kinship organization. So the major contribution of the Edmund Leach is about providing some details about the political organizations, of the Kachin people. So he basically what he did, he provided his field work. Like there are so many anthropologists like the Radcliffe Brown who did the field work in the Andaman Island. There is B. Malinowski in the Trobriand Island. There is the French Boers in the Baffin Island. In the same way, Edmund Leach, he conducted his field work among the Kachin people in the late 1930s and in the early 1940s. And there, what he did, he provided very great insights about the kinship system. He said that we have a basic notion in our mind. Like, just tell me one thing. When I'm saying marriage and when I'm asking for the marriage rules, so there you are going to tell me some rules, like you would explain me and laws of marriage, endogamy, there is exogamy, there is hypergamy, and there is incest taboo. Other than this, if I will ask you the marriage regulation, you will tell me some sort of prescriptive, preferential, these and that. I mean, in terms of cross cousin marriages and the parallel cousin marriages, this is something that you will tell me. Fine. Now, he provided a very groundbreaking kind of details, theories on the political system and the kinship variation. He said that when we are just constraining the kinship towards the biological variation only, this is not something that will solve the purpose. I mean, this is not something will explain us the basic function of the kinship. He said that kinship is more than prescribing the marriage rule. Kinship is about determining the political system. And this is what he also provided in his publications. So now let's see what are the kind of publication he provided. Other than this, you can also see that he got died in the 1989, where in the England. So we consider him as a British anthropologist or sociologist. So if I'm using the word sociologist, that would be much better. Fine. Okay, now let's see the kind of publication he had provided. Okay, he had done so much influential work, but here I am going to provide you 4 basic publication which are very much important. I mean, something which is providing us the details of the people who were living there and about the kind of field work that he had done. So the first book is The Political System of Highland Burma. So he did field work at Burma as well, and this is considered as his major groundbreaking work. It is being considered as major groundbreaking work. Fine. So when he was doing his work in the Burma, he was influential regarding the structure, and in the structure he was keen to know something about the political system. And not only the political system, he was very much keen to know their social organization. So he specified that the people of the Burma, they were having a political organization system, and that is considered a 2-tier political system. So that 2-tier political system, one he specified as the Gumsa. So here we can just write down 2-tier political organization. One more thing I will ask you, like for the very first time when you are watching this video, you need to watch on the normal speed, but once you will be revising it for those 5 days after giving your GS paper, when you would be revising for your optional for 5 days, then I would ask you to watch these videos again. I would ask you to watch these videos but on a 2x speed. That will provide you something that would be stuck in your memory. When we used to listen, something used to stuck in our memory. Fine. So he had 2-tier political organization. One he said as the Gumsa, and second one as Gumlao. He found that in the Burma, there are 2 types of social organization based upon the political organization. One which is called as the aristocratic, that is basically Gumsa. According to him, Gumsa is the kind of political system where the people of aristocrats, they used to being specified. Another one, that is Gumlao. In the Gumlao, he specified as a democratic system. So he said that in some of the areas there is egalitarian system, in some of the area there are democratic system. So we can just write down here as well. that is egalitarian, and this is democratic. These are the two type of political organization that that we can have in this specified. So here he said that political structure is like a fluid, it is not fixed. This is what he said, and this is being considered as a groundbreaking studies from his side, because earlier we are thinking that political system is something which is rigid. Like let us suppose in case of Indian system is also not fixed. Why? Because we have a parliamentary system. Why? There is election. But for those 5 years as well, this is not being specified that it would remain the same. Like this is again not specified, it would remain the same. So here just write down in terms of example what he specified, that political structure is like fluid, not fixed. And this kind of statement you can also use in other question as well. Now many of you must be facing the issues like what to mention, where to mention. That's why we need to have a performer in our mind. I mean, if we are remembering any person, this should be stuck in our mind that this person is having this for publication, and I need to remember it, and I can quote anything. If there is any question, I can quote anything anywhere. Fine. So this is the only way to remember the things. This is the only way that we used to consider whenever we are remembering anything. Fine. Another book that he specified is by the name Rethinking Anthropology. So this book Rethinking Anthropology, it is nothing but he wrote so many essays, and it is being considered as a collection of those essays. So what was the basic topic for those essays? He specified 3 things. One, he was very much keen to provide us the details about kinship. Now he just want to know that how kinship and marriage they are connected. And when he studied, then he found that marriage is not kinship is not something that is providing a foundation for the marriage rules. He said that kinship is doing much more role than just determining the marriage rules. So that's why he also provided details about the social classification, and he brings the structuralist theory along with the Levi-Strauss, because he was very much influenced by his work, and therefore he provided details about the British fieldwork tradition. He did some analysis of the Sri Lanka, and in Sri Lanka there was Pul Elia village. So what he did, he basically did some influential work at Sri Lanka. Like he went to the Sri Lanka, there he studied about one Pul Elai village, and in the Pul Elai village he wrote some essays. Then he collected all those essays and he printed this book, Rethinking Anthropology. Fine. So now let's write down something about it so that you will have the basic details if you have to mention about structuralist theory. Fine. So at Sri Lanka, Pul Elia village, and in that village he wrote something about three aspects: about marriage, about kinship, and social organization. This is the basic study that we consider related to his level of study. Here what he specified that social rules, they are flexible and these are context specific. This is what he said, that whenever you are having any social rules, those social rules, they are context specific and they are flexible. Let me just write down first. I would explain as well. So according to him, social rules are flexible and context specific. By the word social rule, what do we mean? By the word social rule, we mean that we are having something which is flexible. I mean, we are not having rigidity. As per the society, as per the societal norms, as per the situation, we can change it. And whenever we are changing it, we are trying to connect with the context. Let us suppose marriage. Now see, in the Maharashtra, and like I'm taking Indian context, like Indian example in the picture, like let's take the example of Maharashtra and the Madhya Pradesh. In the Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, there are some instances of parallel cousin marriages and cross cousin marriages. Not exactly parallel cousin marriages, but cross cousin marriages more. Like mostly parallel cousin marriages, these cases are found in case of Islam, but cross cousin marriages, these cases they are also being noticed in case of India and in Maharashtra and in Madhya Pradesh. I had personally talked to my students, and those students whose sister or brother, they got married because of these rules, like cross cousins. So they are married with their like maternal side uncle's daughter or paternal side uncle's daughter. That's how. Fine. So from this point, from rethinking anthropology, they specified that these things could be changed. One of the girls, she was from the Odisha, and they were having some connection with the Madhya Pradesh. She said that, ma'am, quite possible in my family there are notion that I would get married with my bua's son. She said that. Means the kind of cross cousin marriages context. But she said that, ma'am, because he is also studying somewhere and having open mind, and I'm also having the open mind, maybe in future we both when will reject each other, and because we have some potential partner as well, we can deny. Now when I asked her that her family would accept that denial or not, she said that as per the new norms or the modern times, because our parents, they are investing upon our education, they have to. It means whenever we are talking about social rules, then there is not something in the modern times which is rigid. This is something which is flexible. And this is what he noticed when he was working at Sri Lanka, Pul village, and he was studying about the Pul village, and that's how he provided this book, Rethinking Anthropology. So it is very much important. If in the question there is something asking about the flexibility, you have to give the context in terms of these two examples. So the most important thing in anthropology, if you want to ace 300 plus marks, you need to be attached with the static part, but don't be like constrained in the static part only, add upon the examples. So whenever there is any question asking about any flexibility in the structure, any sort of flexibility in the society, you need to give context of the Edmund Leach and these two books, Political System of Highland Burma and the Rethinking Anthropology. I hope you can understand. Now, next part, that is Genesis as a myth. As you know already, the structural theory of myth given by the Levi-Strauss, but again Edmund Leach, he was also contributing to the structuralism. He also gave something about the Genesis as a myth. Why? Because according to him, myth is also specifying the structure for the society. Therefore, he again wrote so many essays and then combined all those mythological essays in one book, Genesis as a myth. Now in this book, Genesis as a myth, he provided that how myth, they are the cultural code, and how these cultural code, they reflect the universal human opposition. Means how it is impacting the universal human opposition, and it is being specified as a system of symbolic opposition. Means it is all about your cultural code, and you are performing everything based upon your cultural code or your cultural phenomena. Fine. So now let's just write down something about it. So it is nothing but it is a collection of the essay. And in the collection of essays, he said that myth serve as a cultural code, and this cultural code is helping us to specify the universal human practices that reflects universal human practices. Now next And the last book, he had written so many books. Approx, if I have to tell you, he wrote around 8 to 9 books. But I have taken here the most important one because we need to constrain. Like, he had written so many other work as well, some collection of essays. Now this is very important and different book. He wrote something about the terrorist violence. He wrote the book Custom, Law and Terrorist Violence. In this book, when he was mentioning about all these parts, he said that how power and law, whenever we are talking about the terrorist or something, like terrorist is a result of resistance from the person who's holding the power or the person who's framing the law. So that's why he said through this book that how the power and law, they are shaped by the cultural values, and particularly in the conflict setting. Means how the power and the law, they will shape by the cultural value, how cultural values, they are being connected together. So here what he is basically wrote down, how the power and the law are framing the cultural values. How it is being framing the cultural values, and how, like, because why he wrote these things, because you know that he was a British anthropologist, and during that time period British anthropologists, they were having some colonies under them, and in the colonies the person who is resisting their power, they are being specified as terrorist. If you know that our freedom fighter, they are being addressed as a terrorist by the Britishers. So that's why he wrote this book regarding the custom law and the terrorist violence. Fine. So all these, they are the books that have been provided by the Edmund Leach. So I am providing you 30-second time. Just have the reading of this page, and then we are going to move upon the next, where we are trying to constrain them in a proper measure. Fine. So read it once. Had you done? Okay, now next move forward to the next page. This is something that we did from our side so that we can just simplify it in this proper format. Culture, society, marriage, family would take up at one place, then kinship, then religion, then language, then research method. This is what we are going to have. Now let's see what Edmund Leach, he talked about the culture. So he gave one book by the name Culture and Communication. In the book Culture and Communication, he said that culture symbols, they function like a language, and these culture symbols are something which are talking about the political system. As you know, everything regarding his study is going towards the political system and the kinship structure. This is something that should be stuck in your mind. If there is any question upon the political system or kinship structure, anything, and you are not able to remember anyone's name, so just remember the name of Edmund Leach, mention him, give the context. It's not always important that you need to be very much specific. If you know something and something in the right direction, you can use it, and you can mention it according to your own way or own purpose. Fine. So now let's talk about the culture. So for the culture, he just gave his book by the name Culture and Communication. Culture and Communication. Okay, in the book Culture and Communication, he said that how culture symbols, like we have so many symbols in the culture, these symbols, they are specifying about the human being and their behavior. So what he said, that culture symbols are like language. What he said, that he said culture symbols, they are like language, and these are something that are talking about the political structure or power or something. He said that let's explain or just compare the royal insignia. So the royal insignia, what they are showing, this insignia, it is showing the status. It is showing their like the symbol is showing some sort of pride, prestige, power, status, high status in the society. So this is what he said. He said that your culture is the language. Like in the same way, let us suppose if I am wearing bindi, so it shows that I am a Hindu. So this bindi is the symbol of my culture, my religion. In the same way, like I don't need to tell you. Like for example, if I am wearing the kalava, this is the example that I am a Hindu. I don't need to tell you. You can just analyze. You can just analyze through my attire. In the same way, he said that culture symbols, they are the language, because without using the words, you can tell something about your culture. He said that royal insignia, they are talking about the high status. So if you will see someone from the British royal family, you will see that they are the person who are from like prestige, power or high status. Even if they are not holding power, still they have some sort of high status in the society. So this is what they said. So culture symbols, they are like language. Example we can take up. Royal insignia as a symbol of and prestige. Fine. So this is what we can have. Look, Abhi, like I will be covering the whole syllabus in a quick revision manner. Like I'm not going to explain in very detailed manner, but I will be covering the whole syllabus in a quick revision manner, in a summarized way, for all those who are aspiring for the mains 2025 or those who have done their syllabus but just need a revision. So this class is for those who have already completed their syllabus once and now they want something brush up, because quite possible they haven't updated anything or they are not able to consolidate everything at one place. I hope able to take out your doubt. And the kind of files I'm using here, everything I'm writing here will be providing in terms of a PDF, and you can download the PDF from the official Telegram channel of Sunya IAS Anthropology Optional. That is also available in the description box. Fine? Okay. Now, next, take up in terms of society. So, we know this thing that the Edmund Leach, he did this book, Political System of Highland Burma. Fine. So in this book he talk about the societal structure, and we are also done with this part, that he divided basically the political structure in two parts, Gumsa and Gumla. So in case of the Gumsa, he specified that Gumsa is something about egalitarian system, where Gumlao system is democratic system. So he specified that when you are having a political system as a societal structure in your society, you can avoid some sort of tension or conflict. How? Now let's try to understand. In the parliament, you must have seen that there are some sort of tussles, wordy tussles. Sometimes the MPs, they used to lift up the chair, they throw chair, like there is violence. In terms of immunity we had given to the to these person. Fine. Now here try to understand. If democratic system is not there, then we cannot have stability, political stability. So in our society, if we have to have the political stability, for that we need to have a societal structure. In the same way, in the book, the political system of Highland Burma, he talked about the societal, political structure to avoid any tension or tussle. Fine, so this is what they did from their side. Fine. Okay, now next part is in terms of marriage. So in terms of marriage, he specified that Edmund Leach, he had given his book by the name Rethinking Anthropology. So in his book Rethinking Anthropology, when he was studying the village of the Sri Lanka in the Pul LA, here he found that marriage rules, they are not that much flexible. Marriage rules, they are context specific. This is what he specified. And he also said that marriage rules, they are not only that is dependent upon the kinship system. Sometimes we are creating the marriage rules, and these marriage rules, they are also outside the premises of the kinship relationship or outside the rules of the marriages. Like we have specified that there is going to be cross cousin marriages, or specified that there is going to be this type of marriage, these and that. So it is out of that premises. Fine. So now let's write down in the book Rethinking Anthropology. In Sri Lanka, Pul Elai village, specified about the flexibility of marriage rules. Look, I am taking this class only so that you will have everything at one place and you can remember and can mention about it in your answer writing. Because the most the kind of difficulty we face is not able to recall or not able to be specific. You will be getting more marks if you are specific to your answer writing. You are specific what you are mentioning about. Fine. Now next part is in terms of kinship. So for the kinship, he said that kinship depends upon the social context. In the Pul Ilai village only, he kinship terms like father, sister, son, it could signal different social rules. And he gave that kinship was less a biological map than a political resource. So he said that kinship is more than the biological map. Kinship is a kind of a political resource. So in the same Rethinking Anthropology, I am not going to mention it again. I will be only giving you the context about the Sri Lanka Pulilai village, where he studied about the kinship as well as the marriage. So in the Sri Lanka Pulilai, he mentioned that kinship is more than a biological map. Oh, it is less a biological map. It is less a biological map and more a political resource. So kinship, it is less a biological map and it is more a political resource. This is what they have specified. Now, how you can use this information in your answer? Let us suppose there is any question indirectly asking about the function of the kinship. So let us suppose you are writing that kinship, it used to provide basis for the biological relationship. Kinship, it also play a role in the political resources. Like let's take the example of the political families which are based upon the kinship. Like take the example of the Yadav family in the Uttar Pradesh as well as the Yadav family in the Bihar, and take out the example of the Gandhi family in the central election. So all these, they are based upon the kinship relationship only. Now we are taking up kinship in this societal structure as only to serving for the marriage purposes, but here we can take up the kinship as a political resource. So let us suppose you have to mention something, so you can be very much specific. You can mention the name of the Edmund Leach, can mention the name of the book Rethinking Anthropology, and can give the context. If you will do like this, it would add on more value to your answer, weightage to your point. Instead of writing so much generic, you can extract the points. Fine. So for the last, as a last leap, you need to just remember all these that is written here. Fine. Okay, now let's take out the next part in terms of the religion, like in terms of religion, what it is basically saying. So in the book Genesis of the Myth, and like Genesis of the Myth, where he have combined all his essays, he mentioned that Western religious texts, they are also myth, and they serve some social and moral function. Like he was not having the ethnocentrism, as you know, he was not considering the Western culture as the supreme one. He was just saying that the religion in his book, as per the Myth and the other essays, every religion is based upon some mythological stories, and now believing upon those stories, yes or no, it depends upon the disciples. Means those who want to believe, they will, otherwise not. Fine. So just take out in terms of the religion. The book name is Myth, Genesis of the Myth. Western religion is also dependent upon the mythological stories. Fine. This is what he said from his side, and we can consider that yes, it is legible also. Means he is not considering the Western religion is the supreme one. He is not ethnocentric. This is what you need to understand. He was someone who is dependent upon the social context. Fine. Now next part is in terms of language and communication. So in terms of language and communication, he took the basis of his studies that he did in the Burma. In the Burma, he found that clothing and all other things, they are conveying some meaning. So he said that language is not something which is in terms of the words. This is what he said, that Britishers, they know more language than the other one. So other communities, they are even not aware of the Britishers' language, that is basically English. So for that he said that it's not all about using the words. He said language and communication can be through the culture. So the same thing that he said for the culture is also going to apply for the language part. And he also said something like language is not in terms of grammatical rules or something. He said language is something which is in the behavior, language is something which is in your possession. So this is what he said. The book name is same, The Culture and Communication. So you need to remember the name, Culture and Communication. And here he said language is more than grammatical rules. It is something found in behavior and possession. Fine. This is something that you need to understand. Now let's talk about the kind of research method that he had contributed. So he did field study. We know very well that he did field study in the Burma as well and the Kachin area as well. He was having very flexible and critical methodology. So in the Kachin political system, he shows some structural model. So we can specify that he is being considered as a person with intensive field work with theoretical abstraction. Means he had one notion in his mind, and while going for the field work was trying to just prove that notion. Means, let me give you the overview about it. He was influenced by the work of Levi-Strauss, so he was keen to know about the structure only. He was not having free mind. He was having that I want to know something about the structure of the society. Could be the political structure, the kinship structure, the marriage based structure, anything related to this, anything. Fine. So this is what he did from his side. But he said that there is some sort of cultural aspect, and when he was having this theoretical abstraction in his mind, he was trying to prove that it is true, and that's why he did the field work. So in terms of research methodology, we can say that he was having the intensive field work with a theoretical abstraction. And this is something that we have in terms of the basic part. Fine. So I just want to give you 1 minute time. Just have the reading whatever is written here, and if you have any doubt you can ask. If not, then we are going to move forward. If you have any doubt, then tell me, otherwise we are going to move forward. And do you have any doubt? Okay, now let's move forward to the next anthropologist, that is the Ruth Benedict. Now here we are coming up with the women power and the contribution of the women in the field of anthropology. And here the first one is the Ruth Benedict. Ruth Benedict, she got birth in the 1887 and she died 1948, that too due to a heart attack. And like he basically she was graduated as in the English literature, but later on in the Columbia University she took the subject anthropology, and then she was trained under the French Bowes and the Margaret Mead. Margaret Mead later on became her best friend, we can say, or the research companion. The Ruth Benedict, she provided some details about the culture. Like when there was a World War II, during the World War II, she did some armchair anthropologist work. You know, armchair means you are having some report, articles, essays, you are just analyzing them, and from them you are taking out something out of it. And this is what she did. She studied about the Japanese culture. In the Japan, there is a Zuni culture. So she studied about the Zuni culture, not going towards that area, but through the studies that are already available. Now in terms of all the kind of contribution, she was being appointed as the professor under the Columbia University, the same university where she once trained about. But as soon as she was appointed, she got heart attack and she died. So we consider that she is the professor in the Columbia University after death. Now, the great contribution of the Ruth Benedict is in terms of the personality and culture studies. So we have a culture personality school, and she contributed for that school, where she provided some details about different culture. Although she did the armchair anthropologist work, not exactly the field work, but still the kind of contribution she had for determining the personalities in different culture, it provided the basis for the upcoming anthropologist. Here he was very much vocal against the racism and determinism as well, and that's why she basically promoted the cultural understanding post World War II as well, because during the World War time period she actively did so many research with the kind of details already available. So this is the basic details about the Ruth Benedict. Now let's understand the publications provided by her. So the kind of publication she provided. Now let's have mechanism for that. Okay, so the first book is The Pattern of Culture. Now remember this book, Pattern of Culture, wherever you have to mention something about culture or there is any question in the unit 2.1 pattern culture, mention her context. In the book Pattern of Culture, she provided her legacy. What she did, she studied about the individual personalities while dividing them in two parts, Apollonian and Dionysian. She classified some characteristics that are being possessed by those personality holder. And not only this, she also classified some culture just to demonstrate that yes, this culture includes Apollonian and this culture includes Dionysian. This is what also being explained by her. So the basic contribution of the Ruth Benedict is she specified that no culture is inherently superior. She said that culture selects specific personality traits so that culture can cultivate, and it is very important term that is being given by her, and you can also use this in the conclusion. If there is any question for the culture, you can use that statement for the conclusion. Like I will be mentioning here, you just need to write down when you would be having this PPT. Fine. So here let's just divide the pattern of culture, wherever you can use this. If there is any question on the unit 6 culture personality school, if there is any question on the unit 2.1 pattern of culture, you have to give the context of this. Fine. So here you can mention that provided two set of personalities. One as Apollonian. Okay, she was not saying that the Apollonian they are the superior one or the Dionysian they are not, but she was only trying to explain us two set of personalities. Another one Dionysian. Fine. So as Apollonian, she gave the example of the Zuni culture, and as Dionysian, Quetzal. Fine. This is what she specified. Other than this, the most important thing as given by her is that culture, like what she said, that no culture is inherently superior. Culture, they select some specific personalities trait to cultivate. So according to her, no culture inherently superior. Culture select personality traits to cultivate, and that's why we cannot summarize that Zuni culture is the superior one, Quetzal culture is not the superior one. That's how we have to specify. Not only this, She also gave some detail about the Melanesian culture. Melanesia, if you remember that in the Western Pacific Island, there are Micronesia, there is Polynesia, there is Melanesia. So she also gives some details about the Melanesia. And while giving the details about the Melanesia, she gave that in the Melanesia, the culture is not something that is prescribed. It is something which is suspicion. I mean, they are not very much aware, like the people who are living there, and that's why they don't know the much details about the culture. Fine. So this is something about the pattern of culture. Now next book, like as you know, during the World War II, she was very much active, and during that time period she was very much critique to the racist theory as well, and that's why she gave this book Race. And in this book Race and the Science and Politics, she gave that we need to have a culture relativistic approach. And because we are having a culture relativistic approach, it shows that race is a cultural, not a biological determinant. Means you cannot specify that because of the race this is black and this is white. So according to her, race is a kind of a cultural component. Means black person, they have their culture, white person, they have their culture. We cannot constrain the black and white based upon the biological determinism that they are having the white genes, they are having the black genes. This is the exact terms she said. And she was very critic to the racial theories. She was very much critic to the determination of the races in this particular point. So what she said, that she was being considered, like if there is any question upon the culture relativism, kindly mention this book name, Race, Science and Politics, given by the Ruth Benedict. And Ruth Benedict, she said that regarding the biological, regarding the other part, she said that culture are not exactly supreme, so therefore we need to have culture relativistic approach. Okay, we need to have a culture relativistic approach. And other than the culture relativistic approach, he said that race is a cultural aspect. Race is a cultural aspect, not biological. So according to her, culture is race is a cultural aspect. It is not biological. I mean, we cannot specify the race based upon their biology. I mean, based upon their gene. We cannot create the categories. We can create the categories among the racism, but for those who are having a separate culture. So based upon the culture, like if we are talking about any culture, we can also include the white as well as the black in one part. That's why she was very much critic to the racism. Now, next is she basically have chrysanthemum and the sword. So the chrysanthemum and the sword, this is the kind of book that is being written by the Ruth Benedict. And in this book, what she did, she provided a basic detail of the Japanese culture. In the Japanese culture, as I earlier told you, she was not doing the field work but being an armchair anthropologist. So here, study of Japanese culture, being armchair anthropologist. Being the armchair anthropologist. And for this part, she basically provided that Japanese psychic part is this, that they have cultural empathy than the hostility. This is what she studied about the Japanese culture, and that's why it is being specified that Japanese culture is the most altruistic culture. Like we used to specify Japanese culture as the most altruistic culture, and this is what she also specified. So in her studies, we can specify that Japanese culture focused more on, so it is basically focused more on cultural empathy than hostility. Fine. So this is what we have in terms of the publication. Fine. So now just like I'm giving you 30-second time, just read it, and if you have any doubt you can ask, and then we are moving forward to the next part where we are being classifying them in different segments. Are you done? Okay, now move forward to the next part. Now let's talk about the culture. So Ruth Benedict, she said that culture is a patterned whole. So in the configuration of cultures, she basically expressed about two type of cultural system. One is a Zuni culture system, another one is a Kwaigetol culture system. Zuni culture system is of the Japanese culture, and in the Japanese culture she found that these people, they are mostly focused upon the social harmony than any sort of hostility, and these people, they are very much into the togetherness or some sort of coordination, whereas Kwaigetol, the culture, it specify the competition, means those person who are focusing more upon the competition, means having some sort of not exactly the opposition but some sort of individualism that is there in the Kwaigetol culture. Fine. So this is something we have related to these 2 points. Now in terms of the culture configuration and all, wherever we have to talk about the type of the culture or the cultural system of any society, we can just quote the name of the Pattern of Culture book and the basic reference. Fine. So here I'm just writing the name of the book, Pattern of Culture. So if let us suppose there any question upon the culture and you don't remember anyone, just remember the Ruth Benedict and her explanation related to the book Pattern of Culture. So in the book Pattern of Culture, she gave the configuration of culture, she gave the configuration of culture, and in the configuration of culture, what she specified, she mentioned that culture is a patterned whole this is what she specified with two culture set, Apollonian and Dionysian. Fine. So this is what we have in terms of the culture. Now next is in terms of society. As I earlier told you that Ruth Benedict, she was being considered as a culture relativistic person. She was not having any ethnocentric view, and she said that no culture or no society is superior than the other. This is the viewpoint that she gave related to the societal part, and she specified that all the social institutions that we have, they are the product of the culture pattern only, and they are not based upon the biological determinism. So she was just saying that any type of social institution, so you know very well that we have two type of social institution, primary and secondary. In the primary, let us take the example of family, the primary institution. So out of the family we can have marriage as well as divorce, these two considered as the secondary institution. So according to the Ruth Benedict, all the social institutions, they are being considered as the product of the pattern of culture they have, and these are not based upon the biological determinism. So this is what, like, she was having the book by the name, like, as you know, Race, Science and Politics. In that book she gave the reference of society, race, science and politics. And in the race, science and politics, she mentioned that no society is superior than other. Fine. And another thing what she mentioned is that society, like social institution, are dependent upon pattern of culture, not biological determinism. Fine. So it is not based upon the biological determinism. This is what we specified related to the Ruth Benedict. I hope you can understand. Fine. Okay, next part is like why she was giving this detail. Like, as you know already, during the Second World War there was some sort of we can say genocide, or I mean extreme level of heinous side we have seen in terms of the Nazi ideology. So that's why they were giving the view that no one is superior. Even they are not saying that their own is also not superior. So they are not they are taking the side of in the World War II, the side of the Britishers, because they were the British social anthropologists, but still not taking up the side of the American or the British sociologist. Fine. Okay, now let's take up in terms of the marriage. So in terms of the marriage, she studied about the Dobuans of the Melanesia. So the Dobuans of the Melanesia, where they mark that marriage is something kind of suspicious and hostility based gender role. They are not specifying that marriage is a kind of a harmonious together based and a political or as we can say a permanent habitation. So according to them, marriage, like they haven't specified something in very detail about the family and the marriage, but when studying about the Melanesian system, here Dobuans of Melanesia considered marriage as, like Dobuans of Melanesia considered marriage as a segment of hostility and suspicion. Fine. So according to them, marriage is not something which is very like something which they really want to continue or they really want it to be mentioned. Fine. Next part is in terms of kinship. So in the kinship they have the Apache kinship system, and this kinship system it includes some ceremonial kinship role, and that's how they specified that rituals they also help something about the biological relationship. So not like they haven't given anything in detail about the kinship, like they were more interested towards the culture part, towards the personality part, towards the religion part, not exactly for the kinship. So they just gave something about like kinship roles. are ceremonial. This is the only thing they said. Ceremonial means your grandparent, they will hold. Now they are going to provide it to the younger one, basically their children, and it is something hereditary. And hereditary is like that, it is based upon any ceremony. So according to them, kinship is nothing but it is having a ceremonial exchange of anything, in terms of marriage, in terms of family, in terms of political economic system, but it is providing basis for some sort of ceremonies. This is what they specified. Now let's talk about something about the religion. Now in terms of religion, in the book Pattern of Culture talked about the Juni culture. In the Juni culture, they specified that how these person, they use some religious symbolism. So according to them, every single culture have some sort of religious symbol. So all the cultures have religious symbols. All the culture, they have some religious symbol, and that's why these religious symbols, they are being continued together. Next part is in terms of the language. So according to them, language is the kind of thing through which we used to show the cultural values. So language is something through which we used to show some cultural values, and these cultural values, they specify these cultural values, they used to specify about the theme. The cultural values, they used to specify the usage of the words and wherever we need to use it. So when she gave the reference of this book, in this book she found that because your culture is based upon the empathy part or harmony part, therefore the kind of language is also going to turn that. It means your language is nothing but it is expression of your cultural values. So this is what she said, that language is the expression of cultural values. I mean, we can specify the cultural values and these through the language only. Now let's take up next part in terms of the research method. So in terms of the research method, she haven't done so much of the field work, as I earlier told you that she hadn't done so much of the field work. She was being considered as an armchair anthropologist. So armchair anthropologists, they are dependent upon some sort of reports. These are already available, and they are just taking out some inferences or some conclusion or deriving some theories, some summaries. So here we can write down limited field work and armchair anthropologist. Fine. So this is what we have related to all these points. So if you have to write something about society, about culture, about the research methodology, language, so what you can do, you just need to take up any of the point given by the Ruth Benedict. If you remember, you can mention and you are done. Fine. So how you need to do that? Just remember the name of the Ruth Benedict, just remember the topic society. For society, what Edmund Leach said, what E.B. Taylor said, what Ruth Benedict said. This is how you can also create one table. So you can create one page society, and you can take up everything being given by me in terms of the anthropologists at one place. This is also, you can do something so that you will remember everything at one place. So just take up the part culture and take this first part from every single slide, and then you can remember. You can just remember it and can mention, and you are done. Fine. So just have 1 minute time, read it. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, now we are going to move forward to the next part, that is Margaret Mead. Anji, done with this part? Okay, Karan is asking, ma'am, this is a free initiative. Yes, this is a free initiative. This is going to be an open session, and in this session we are also going to have a quick revision. Okay. And open, and are also okay. So in this session we are going to have a complete revision of the anthropology, that is in terms of a quick summary. So here I'm not going to explain everything in detail, but I will help you to provide just to consolidate everything at one place. Fine. Okay, now let's move forward to the next part, that is like here I am leaving this page plain. Here what you need to do, you need to write the summary. Here you need to create the summary, and this is in terms of homework. Fine. Okay, now let's do the next one. The next one is about the Margaret Mead. So the Margaret Mead and the Ruth Benedict, as I told you, they both are like research companion. I mean, there is a term called as the romantic companionship. So in the anthropology there was a romantic companionship between the Ruth Benedict and the Margaret Mead. So there is some theories that Margaret Mead, she being trained under the Ruth Benedict, and there are some theories which are saying that Ruth Benedict is being trained under the Margaret Mead. Yes, we have some sort of differences in terms of the time period. Like Ruth Benedict, she was elder than the Margaret Mead, but the basic notion is this, that Margaret Mead, she was having a kind of environment which was like intellectual environment, that her mother, she was a sociologist, and as you know, sociocultural anthropology is becoming like a continuation of the sociology part. So the sociocultural anthropology, it is nothing but it is sociology only. So therefore Margaret Mead, she got exposure before then the Ruth Benedict. So therefore we have these theories in terms of American anthropologist. Another thing is Ruth Benedict, she also did some studies based upon the British anthropologist as well. That's why it is also being considered that Ruth Benedict, she contributed more for the British anthropology than the American anthropology. But as per their birth, as per their work, both the Ruth Benedict and the Margaret Mead, they both worked under the French boss, and they were being trained, mentored by the French boss in the Columbia University as American anthropologist. This is something that we have. Fine. Now she basically studied under the French boss as well as the Ruth Benedict, and who basically become her mentor as well as a close personal friend as well. I mean, that's what I clarified about who is becoming whose mentor and who is doing what kind of work. Now, as you know, Ruth Benedict, she was having armchair anthropologist approach. She was having a field work, but not that much intensive. But Margaret Mead, she was having intensive field work. She went to the Bali, Indonesia. She went to the Samoa, and she was very much keen to know the gender roles. So her contribution in terms of studies is revolving around the gender role, revolving around the child rearing practices, revolving around the rules of adolescence and the biological and the cultural notion regarding the adolescence. So if I have to sum up everything at one place for Margaret Mead, I can say that her studies, they were not towards the political and the economic organization or any kinship or something. No. Her studies are more towards the cultural aspect, and in the culture also towards the societal aspect in terms of gender roles, in terms of the child rearing practices like the marriage and family or something we can say, or adolescence, how the adolescence is being taken in some of the communities. Like let us suppose in terms of example, like in the northern India, the menstrual cycle, the starting of the menstrual cycle is being considered as impure, or also being seen in terms of untouchability, like you cannot touch something, you cannot go to the temple, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. But in some of the tribal areas it is being considered as a part of worship, and there if the girl is achieving the puberty, she like her menstrual cycle is being started, they are throwing the parties. I mean, not party, but they are having some sort of occasions. These are basically the main difference. Fine. Okay, now let's see the differences that Margaret Mead she classified. So she gave basically 3 books. So she also gave more than 3 books, but here we are having the basic publications given by her. Okay, so this one is Coming of the Age in Samoa. So what she did is she studied in the Samoa, and in the Samoa she studied about their way of living, as well as how and in what way these people, they are basically providing their role, whatever the kind of things they are basically doing. So here she did ethnographic studies of the adolescent girl, and she was just trying to know that according to her, cultural environment, not biological environment, that shaped the adolescent behavior. So according to her, how adolescent they will behave, it depends upon their cultural environment, not upon their biological environment or their biological determinism. So this is the most important thing she said. And she also compared the people of Samoa with the American people. She compared that the girls in the America, how they are taking up the puberty or the achieving of adolescent, and how the girls of Samoa, how they are taking it up. So according to her, adolescent behavior is determined by cultural environment, not biological. This is how it is being specified. Another thing, they also said that there is a kind of debate, and the major debate topic is culture determinism versus biological determinism. I mean, before the studies we were thinking that biological determinism is something which is related to the culture, but after that we started thinking that it is not the biological determinism, it is the culture determinism. So she ignited the debate between these two. So sparked debate about cultural determinism versus biological determinism. Fine. So this is what we have related to the study. Now let's take up the second book, and the second book is related to the sex and the temperament in the primitive society. I mean, she was more interested to know something about the primitive society, because according to her, these are the primitive societies who are specifying the specifying about the cultural aspect more. So she studied about 2 aspects. She showed the societies, 2 type of society. One who consider masculine things, another one who consider feminist thing. So she was specifying 2 things, one masculine thing, another one as a feminist thing. So she specified, she basically provided the text for the gender studies as well as the feminist anthropology. I mean, she was being considered as a feminist anthropologist because One, she was a female. Another one, she was keen to know about the female role or the adolescent behavior, and her major focus is female only. So she is being considered as feminist anthropology. So let us suppose if there is any question asking about the role of the female. So what you need to do, you need to give the context of the Margaret Mead more than the other. I mean, you can also give the context of the Cora Du Bois. You can also give the context of the Ruth Benedict. But it is the Margaret Mead who talked about the certain topic. What are the certain topic and how she basically specified about them. Fine. So in terms of this part, she mentioned that there is a kind of like she specified, she like explained about the gender role, and she mentioned that gender role, they are culturally constructed. So according to her, gender roles are culturally constructed. And when we are saying gender role, they are culturally constructed, that's why she divided the roles into two parts. One as masculine, another as feminist. This is what she specified about, and that's how she mentioned about the gender role and all. Now next one, the last one, like she had given all other books as well, but the last one is in terms of the culture and the commitment. Means the culture and commitment, as you can read here, a study of the generational gap. I mean, she want to know the complete psychic unity of the person of the different generation. I mean, she also want to know that how the kind of hormones are playing the role in terms of your thinking, also in terms of your sexual behavior. So this is what she want to know. And she also want to know that how society is trying to just assess the behavior of these people in terms of their life, in terms of their view. This is what she want to understand. Fine. So what she analyzed that there is a growing gap between the younger and the older generation, and she introduced this this concept as prefigurative culture, where younger generation, they lead the societal change. And this is what you can mention anywhere if you feel can add upon the value. Fine. So she gave the concept, like in this book she gave the concept of the generational gap between the younger and the older one, and here introduced the concept prefigurative. Like when she was talking about this prefigurative culture, she was just want to show us that there is gap, and this gap is somehow, like what she want to say that at one point of time, older generation, they should take step back and need to give space to the younger one, so that they can lead to the societal change. This is what actually societal change should look like. So she specified prefigurative culture, where younger generation can lead to societal changes. And this is what we want to understand. This is how we want to get something like this is also going to play the role in case of, like, if there is any question, globalization affecting the indigenous tribal population. So here also you can give the reference of this book, and here also you can mention about this prefigurative culture, and you can mention that actually there is a concept that when, like, there is going to be a time when technological advancement will take up the next step, and this technological advancement will lead us to the cultural aspect. Fine. So this is what we want to have. Okay, now I'm giving you 30-second time, just have the reading, and then we are going to move forward to the next part. Are you done? Okay, now move forward to the next part, that is their like contribution for all these part. Let's have, so the first one is about the culture. So let's talk about in terms of culture. So as specified by them, culture is nothing but it is a learned behavior. So we can, whenever we have to mention that culture is learned, if there is this characteristics to be explained, so the culture is learned, it means culture is again a kind of a learned behavior, and it is being learned by different generation at different point of time in their life, and it is something based upon the demonstration. Demonstration means how they are demonstrating the cultural things to their younger generation. Another part is that Margaret Mead in the book The Coming Age of Samoa, she mentioned about the gender role. She said that the cultural aspect, it is playing some role. According to her, that adolescence achievement by the girls of the Samoa, it is more smoother than the girls of the American community. Why? Because their culture is like that. So in their culture, the gender role, they are also being specified, and the gender role, they are giving more freedom than the American culture. So now think upon American culture, which is the most modern culture. When Margaret Mead, she found that the Samoa culture, it is more it is providing more autonomy to the girls, then you can imagine that how much freedom would be there in the Samoa culture, or how the gender role must be specified in that culture, how it is being specified. Fine. So now let's talk about, like, here we are going to mention the name of The Coming Age of Samoa. Okay, so in The Coming Age of Samoa, she mentioned about the concept of culture relativism. Another example provided, achievement of adolescence, smoother achievement male and female. In 1940 or something, she provided this book. In the book Male and Female, she studied about the gender role among the among these like island countries, and in the island country she found that the gender role is much specified, and the female, they have more freedom there. So that's what we can write down, the book name Male and Female. So in the book name Male and Female, what they basically referred, they basically referred about the societal structure, the gender roles in island countries, where they specify more gender specific freedom is noticed. Like in their area, gender specific freedom is noticed. Fine. Now Next one as being explained by in terms of marriage. So in her book Sex and Temperament in the Primitive Society, in the three primitive society, she mentioned that the gender role were reversed compared to the West. Means in these island countries, women they are dominant, women they are practical provider, and here men they are someone who are having emotional expression. So that's what in terms of marriage and family they specified, that marriage they are socially constructed and they are not something which is biologically fixed. So here we can write down marriage is socially constructed. Not biologically. And in the island countries, women are dominant and they are having more practical approach or more practical role. Reverse to Western male or Western society. I mean, like if they have to take up the Indian context in the comparison, it's going to be again difficult, more difficult. But here we can just take up this part, we can just understand this thing. Fine. Now let's talk about the kinship part. So in case of the kinship system, they are defining the social obligation. So according to them, in the Bali, like as I told you, as I told you, the Margaret Mead, she did some field study in the Samoa as well as in the Bali. So when she was studying about Bali, Indonesia, in that part she specified that how kinship terms and role they are extended to ritual and ceremonial life. Again, she was not very much keen to explain something about the kinship, but this is what she said. So like when she was studying in Bali, specified ceremonial role of kinship. Now let's talk about another part in terms of religion. So according to them, like Margaret Mead, she gave a book, a photographic analysis. So this photographic analysis is a book in which she specified about the religion. She mentioned that in the Bali, like where in the Bali, you know that there are big temples, and in the temples there is a Balinese temple ritual. So in the Balinese temple ritual, she specified that how the religion or religious performance they shape some communal identity, as well as it shows some emotional expression. So we can just write down like a photographic analysis, the book. And this book is all about the Balinese culture, Balinese temple ritual. And when she was like, we all know that Balinese or Bali is for the temple rituals, and she specified that how the temple ritual, I mean how the ritual they are becoming the mean of symbolism, how it is leading towards the expression, or it is specifying about a certain culture. So for that she specified that religious performance they are shaped the communal identity as well as emotional expression. So according to him, the religious expression leads to cultural identity. means when we have to give the detail of culture and religion, we can just give the context of this. Fine. Now just imagine what she must be explaining about the language. So according to them, language is nothing but it is a relaxed attitude towards social harmony. I mean, when you have to explain about the language, so what you need to do for explaining the language, you have to explain about some sort of social attitude, or if not the social attitude, some sort of social harmony. So according to them, linguistic expression is explaining the social harmony. So linguistic expression leading to social harmony. Now, what is the kind of research method Margaret Mead used? You can tell me the answer. She used, okay, you are going to tell me the answer. Okay, I'm waiting here. You are going to tell me what is going to be the answer for the research methodology. Just tell me the answer for the research methodology. What kind of method she had used? Just tell me. So, do I need to give you the option? Okay, tell me. Is it fieldwork? Is it participant observation? Is it armchair? Anji, tell me, what is the answer for that? So the answer for this is going to be the field work, and this is very extensive field work, and that extensive field work is nothing but participant observation. And this participant observation, it is giving us a very detailed case study based approach. Analytical case study approach. This is what we have. Okay, fine. So now I'm giving you again 1 minute time. Just have the reading of this complete page, and then we are going to move forward. Handy done? Okay, now let's take up the next one, that is, okay, this is again a kind of homework here, giving you the homework. Provide here the summary in one word or something. Okay, next take up the next anthropologist, that is Abraham Gardner. Okay, so here you can see the Abraham Gardner. So if I have to explain about the Abraham Gardner, so like Abraham Gardner, he was being considered as a psychoanalytics. Why? Because he had studied something related to the psychoanalysis. and therefore we consider him as a psychoanalytical. So therefore he provided some details about the personality type and the personality type attached with the culture. This is the kind of contribution we have regarding him. Now, he was born in the 1891. He died in the 1981, and he was believed as a cultural institutions that like according to him, there is cultural institutions that shape the personality, and once the personality is formed, personality influence the maintenance of those institutions. Means it is explaining somewhere that first institution will frame the personality, and once they have framed the personality, then this personality is being influenced the maintenance of those institutions. This is how it's specified. Now, in what way it is being explained? Here we can take up the basic publications related to his studies. So first, his contribution is about the culture personality school. So for the culture personality school, he used some case studies method, and those case study method with ethnographic studies. So here he had given the book, as you can see the name, The Individual and His Society. Here he mentioned the book They Studied Men, and another one is The Mark of the Oppression. So all these things, they are specifying any dynamism of the personality, and that dynamism of the personality, like when he mentioned The Individual and His Society, he gave this book with the Ralph Linton. I mean, there was one anthropologist, Ralph Linton, so he gave this book with the help of the Ralph Linton, where he explained about it. In this book, The Individual and His Society, he mentioned some like how early childhood experiences common within a society, and they shape a general personality type. Like for example, if I have to specify, all the children, they have same habits. Means when they are having teething, they would like to bite everything. They have a habit to take everything in their hand and in their mouth. So like every single personality, they are being nurtured at the same level, at the same time. So in this book, he explained about the childhood experiences. And in the childhood experiences, he explained about the type and ways of the children, and this type and way of the children in terms of, just because he want to demonstrate the personality type, that's how he explained about it. He wrote this book with the help of the Ralph Linton. I mean, Ralph Linton, he had also contributed something in this part. Fine. Now, another book he gave by the name of They Studied Men. So in the book They Studied Men, he provided some details, like when he was writing this book, he received some insights by the French Bowes, then the B. Malinowski, and the Ruth Benedict. I mean, these are the three anthropologists who gave contribution just to explain this They Studied Men. He combined everything together, and he mentioned in the format of this book They Studied Men. In this book, he offers some insights into the challenges that are faced by the early anthropologist. He here mentioned about some anthropological thought and methodology. Anthropological thought and methodology. Fine. Next, the third one is in terms of mark of oppression. So he had given another book as well by the name War, Stress and Neurotic Illness, because he was a kind of analytical person as well. In his book The Mark of Oppression, he mentioned about racial discrimination, and he mentioned that how systematic oppression, they shape the personality and the mental health. Like for example, if you would talk to any person who is not very rich, or the person who is belonging to any tribal area or something, those person, they will have some sort of introvertness or lack of confidence in their personality. Why? Because they are being specified by the society that they don't know so much, and they need to be like, because they are not aware of so many things, and therefore they live beside them. So this is what they specify. So according to them, So according to them, the mark of operation, they said, he basically mentioned that how systematic operation shape personality. How systematic operation shapes personality. And this operation, it is expressing the personality, and in today's time period also, this is how society and other things they used to be specified. Fine. So this is what all about the publication as given by the Abraham Gardiner. Now let's talk about what he said about the culture and all other things. For the culture, he mentioned the concept of basic personality culture. According to him, personality pattern is shared by most members of the society. Why? Because those are lead to the upbringing and experiences. So here for the culture, like Abraham Gardiner, he is having very short description. He mentioned the concept of basic personality structure. Basic personality structure. What this structure is showing? This structure is showing basically that due to upbringing and experiences, all share same personality traits. I mean, all are sharing same personality trait, and this is due to this factor. Now let's talk about the societal aspect or the society part. So in terms of the society part, he gave his book The Individual and His Society. In this book he mentioned about the role of the society just to mold the personality. Means he was specifying the, like in his book The Individual and His Society, and his society, he mentioned about role of society to express the personality type. Fine. Now marriage and family rules, how marriage and family rules are specified. So among the African and American community, he mentioned that systematic racial oppression, it influenced the family and the marital structure as well. Means they are specifying that no, we should not marry in this community, we should not get married with them. So that's how they are specifying, or that's how they are mentioning. So according to them, in terms of the marriage, he's specifying that systematic oppression and racism specifying about marriage rules. So same he said for the kinship. I mean, your marriage, your kinship, they all are going to be based upon those racism or racial basis theories. This is what he specified about. Fine. Next, let's talk about in terms of the religion, what he said about the religion and how they specified about the religion. So in his book, The Individual and His Society, in which he mentioned that the potlatch ceremony, it served not only as an economic redistribution but also as a religious affirmation of the status and competition. As you know already, in the potlatch there are some person who used to cultivate yams. So in some year they have yams in excess, in surplus, or in some years in deficiency. So in some year when they are having that in excess, they used to keep that with them and used to feed the pigs with the yams. So once their yams, they are being they have consumed all the yams, and when they are having the deficiency of the yam, they used to cut those pigs and have a big feast of the pig. This is called as the potlatch ceremony. Now, in terms of religion, Abraham Gardiner said that this potlatch ceremony, or these and examples like these potlatch ceremony, they are being classified as something which is not only economic or any political system, but about their religious expression. I mean, you must have heard big feast, which is helping others to eat. Even if you are having 1 pig or 10 pig or something, you will get food just to fill your stomach. So according to them, according to Abraham Gardiner, example like potlatch ceremony, these feasts are more like religious affirmation than economic or political system. Okay, now next one is in terms of language. So in his book The Myth and Oral Tradition in the Polynesian Society, he talked about that language is framing the personality, because during the child rearing you are teaching some language words to your children. Like for example, we are teaching to our children that do the namaste, namaskaram, and have some greetings to the others. So all these things, they are helping us to frame the language. So language is medium to frame personalities. Fine. Next one is in terms of research methods. So we can take up on that Abraham Gardiner, he was having a psychoanalytical approach in the anthropology. For that, what he did cross-cultural comparison. So can't say that he was an armchair anthropologist, or can't say he was having a full intensive field study, but we can say that he was a psychoanalysis, like he was having psychoanalytical approach in the anthropology, and he was having ethnographic data cross-cultural comparison. So just write down psychoanalytical approach. In anthropology. Or cross-cultural comparison. Find cross-cultural comparison. So this is how we have related to the Abraham Gardiner. Now have a complete reading of whatever he said. Then we are going to move forward. Are you done with this part? Okay, do you have any certain doubt? Do you want to ask anything? Okay, so the third and the last session for all anthropologists at one place, we are going to have on Monday. I will notify the timing through the Sunya IAS Telegram channel. So this is by the name Sunya IAS Anthropology. I would be sharing this PPT PDF, like whatever I am writing here, on the same channel. You can get it from there. Now we have to wrap up the class now. Next, like all the anthropologists that we are having here, let me show you one so that you will get the clarity. Like as I told you, we are going to do these, but somehow we have to wrap up the class now, but it's okay. We will take up the next point from Monday onward. And let me tell you, from Monday onward, we are going to have continuous session, like on 1 days or 2 days difference. So we are going to have a complete revision of the complete syllabus. Those who want to take up a final leap for their mains 2025, and those who just want to have a quick revision. Now we are going to have continuous session. Those are going to be free session. Let me clarify, free open session on the YouTube itself. So we have to cover up all these. So we are done with these. Now from now onward, these I will be providing on Monday. So next session we are going to have on Monday regarding this. Fine. So do you have any doubt you can ask for? Do you have any certain doubt? You want to ask anything? Yes or no? I will notify you through the official Telegram channel. Kindly join that. Okay, so thank you so much for today. And now let's have a next meeting on the Monday. Thank you.